Boris Johnson has resigned after months of political drama and rebellion. The Prime Minister has just made a statement at 10 Downing Street.
It is clearly now the will of the Parliamentary Conservative Party that there should be a new leader of that party and therefore a new Prime Minister. And I've agreed with Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of our backbench MPs, that the process of choosing that new leader should begin now. And the timetable will be announced next week. And I've today appointed a cabinet to serve, as I will, until a new leader is in place. I know that there will be many people who are relieved and perhaps quite a few who will also be disappointed. And I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the breaks.
His decision comes after more than 50 resignations from his government in the last 3 days. He is expected to stay in his post until October as caretaker Prime Minister. But there are already calls for someone else to be appointed. With Boris Johnson resigning, whoever becomes the new Conservative Party leader will become Britain's next Prime Minister. And Laura Meakin-Isherwood joins us live from London at Westminster. Laura, what was the final straw for Mr. Johnson, who has been digging in his heels for some time now?
Perhaps wouldn't want him to stay on any longer than he needs.
Well, yeah, you're right. He's been in number 10, saying consistently that he wanted to remain Prime Minister, but clearly something shifted this morning where it was decided that it simply wasn't tenable for him to remain as Prime Minister and leader of the Conservative Party indefinitely. We heard, of course, overnight more and more people handing in resignations. This morning, that tally reached 50 people handing in their notice. And clearly there has been pressure from the wider Conservative Party for him to stand aside. We also saw members of his cabinet heading to number 10 last night to talk to him individually and try to persuade him that it would be the right thing to do. We then heard this morning that perhaps he was thinking of standing down as leader of the Conservative Party, but that he wanted to remain as Prime Minister. And that seemingly is what Boris Johnson has decided to do. He's been appointing new members to his cabinet all morning, people that have been going into number 10 accepting those jobs. But clearly the time has come for him to stand down, and a new leader of the Conservative Party must now be appointed.
Oh, that new leader, you will need a Tory leadership race that should be taking place over the summer. Who is a contender at this point and why?
Well, there are plenty of people up for potential contention for that job. Of course, the bookies' favourite at the moment could be Ben Wallace. He's the Defence Secretary at the moment. Of course, he's been at the helm of things to do with Ukraine. Obviously, he looks after the armed forces. He's been helping with organising the supply of weapons to Ukraine. Also, the military here in the UK helping to train Ukrainian forces on English soil as well. He is one of the favourites to take over. Also, Rishi Sunak, the former Chancellor, he was one of the first people to hand in his resignation letter to the Prime Minister. He's been overseeing the pandemic response here in the United Kingdom, and he knows the difficulties that the United Kingdom is going to face with regard moving forward. So those are two of the men that are in contention. A female that might be up for it is Penny Mordaunt. She's another popular number in terms of what bookmakers and betting is saying. She is a former defence minister herself. She's fairly well known within the party, and it would be a female, of course, putting herself forward. But at the moment, we need to hear officially which MPs, which members of the Conservative Party want to throw their hat into the ring. That will then signal campaigning time. Those MPs will be looking to garner support and, of course, wait for that vote to see if they will be selected as the next leader of the Conservative Party, but also as the next Prime Minister.
And thanks for that update, Laura Meakin-Isherwood in London.
Well, British investors cheering the prospect of reduced political uncertainty as Prime Minister Boris Johnson prepares to step down. The pound, we are seeing that rising by about 0.4% against the dollar following the news. Well, the benchmark FTSE 100 rose more than 1.2%, and the domestically focused mid-cap FTSE 250 index also gained by more than 1%. Still, analysts say that market sentiment remains fragile due to the dire state of the UK economy, which is likely to slide into a recession. Of course, I'll be back with the rest of the business news in a while.